Party of Virginia Central Committee to order. And is Derek on?
Sean, is Derek on?
All righty, then I am going.
Not yet.
Then that is fine. Then we are just going to call on Jack Foley here. I'm going to call on our staffer, Jack Foley, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
United States of America and to the republic
which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible,
and liberty and justice for all. What happened to Jack there?
Great job. Hey, before we get into the agenda and the program for today, I wanted to introduce two wonderful people who need no introduction. I talked to Terry earlier this week, and you know, we all know we're incredibly disappointed by the election results, but I don't know. I'm thinking back, Terry, I don't know a time in my life that I feel like you and Dorothy haven't been a part of my political and personal life really anymore, and how much you all have given to the Commonwealth of Virginia and to this country. And I was so happy when we chatted and you asked if you all could jump on to say a few words. And also, I want to share with what I shared with the steering committee last night, is that when Terry and I spoke this week, the first thing he said, Suze, tell me how the staff's doing. Tell me a little bit about them. And, you know, that just kind of goes and shows to the heart of who Terry and Dorothy and the entire McAuliffe family is. And I said, Governor, we've been through a lot. The staff's been through a lot. We've had some challenging years. We've done some great stuff. It hadn't been easy. They get up every day. They never go into a corner and curl up in a fetal position, although there have been days over these years we've wanted to, but they're pretty damn resilient and they're forward focused. But I want to thank you on behalf of the Central Committee for being there always for us through those tough times in 2019 and leading the Biden effort in 2020 and just being so proud to stand with you all this year. So thanks for jumping on, and I can't wait to personally meet that new little member of the family as well. But thanks for having her there, and I'll just turn it over to the most wonderful people that I happen to know in this world. Terry.
Well, thank you, Suze. Dorothy and I and little Dolly here are great to be with you. Dolly's our new rescue that we have here. We're having a lot of fun with Trooper. And I told our great chair I'd love to get on. First of all, I just want to say thank you to all of you who are on this call in the Central Committee. I do want to thank Susan, our great chair, for the great work that we have done. And, you know, you think of this party where we were. I think back in 2009 when I first ran for governor, and where this party is today, we are in a different place, and we have made really so much tremendous progress. And, you know, it's a testament to all of you. And listen, we all want to win. We put everything out on that playing field, and we got record achievements thanks to the people on this call and all of you. As you know, it was a historic campaign. We ended up knocking on over 2 million doors. I remember early in the campaign, all the press every day, oh, Democratic enthusiasm, you know, you heard that over and over. You went out, you knocked on over 2 million doors, 6 million phone calls made, 10 million text messages were done. All of you were part of that effort. I want to thank labor. I have never seen labor as organized and in knocking on the doors as they were this year. It was a historic effort. And as you know, we ended up getting 1.6 million votes. That's 600,000 more than I got when I ran in 2013. It's 200,000 more than any Democrat ever running for governor. And if I would have told you over the summer that we were going to get 1.6 million and not win the election, I would have said you're crazy. We always thought 2017 was sort of the high point, it was the first race after the Hillary Trump election. People came out in record numbers in 2017. And you know, we figured if we got close to 1.4, where Ralph had gotten in 2017, we'd be in great shape, get the Democrats out, because we all know the historical trend. It always kicks back. I'm the only one in 50 years now to break that trend, which will now continue. But it was a historic turnout, 1.6 million. And you were all really part of it. I know you all worked the polls. it's interesting. I ended up getting 300,000 more votes than Governor Phil Murphy in New Jersey, a state with 1 million more Democrats than we have here in Virginia. I mean, you did it here in Virginia. We all know there are lots of headwinds. It was a very, very tough political environment. It wasn't just what happened here in Virginia. You saw in New Jersey. Governor Murphy was up 11 points on his internals on election day and barely won that election. They lost 8 seats in their state house out of 80 seats, which was the largest that had ever happened. New York, we got wiped out in our municipal elections up there. So, you know, it was something that went on. But if you look at our vote turnout, what we did here in Virginia, we surpassed what New Jersey, New York, and those others. And that really is a testament to you. And it was a great historic turnout. And I want to say thank you to all of you. We had all the assets on the ground. It was a historic grassroots fundraising operation. For the last, 2-3 weeks, we were raising $500,000-$600,000 a day online, people all over the country, 50 states. We ended up, believe it or not, shattered every record. $80 million we spent, 69 from the campaign. Then you add the DNC and the DJ and others. I mean, so we were up, we were on air. We outspent Youngkin 10-1 on digital. We had more actually TV advertising. So, you know, we had everything rocking and rolling. We led in every poll up to election day. My internals had us up 3 on election day, but you know, it is. But as you know, a huge red wave came out specifically in Southwest Virginia. And, you know, people talk about we got to get our rural message. But, you know, as you all know, when I was governor, I reduced unemployment in every rural county by nearly 50%. We got Medicaid expansion done, hundreds of thousands of people were able to get health care through Dorothy's efforts, 13 million more meals served, many of those in our rural communities. So, you know, we got to keep fighting. We're all very disappointed, but we got to look at tomorrow. Big elections for us. We got to keep Elaine. We got to keep Abigail. We cannot take our foot off the gas. Sleep when you're dead. But listen, it has been an honor to work with all of you. We've had everybody on the playing field. We never left anybody off, and we love you. And I just want to say thank you. We got a lot of work ahead of us. Roe v. Wade, the challenges and everything. But, you know, we're going to do this and we're going to come back stronger. And I just want to say thank you. And Dorothy, let's turn over to you to say a couple words.
Well, I just echo Terry's gratefulness and thanks to all of you for your, you know, just giving your lives as well to the values that are so important to us. You know, the Democratic Party is just part of who we are, part of the core of who we are together and our family. And we feel like your staff is part of our staff and I mean, part of our hearts. And it's good to see Jack and Sham and Andrew. And, you know, I also want to say just everywhere I went, and I had the greatest time with our chairwoman and our lieutenant governor candidate. And we did great few days out in Southwest. And, you know, the warm welcome in all your districts was really felt. It was heartfelt. There, people were out and they were passionate. They cared. They were on the doors. I feel like, you know, we really did give it our all, and there were just forces that were beyond us. But I know I don't have to tell this group because this is a stalwart group that's very resilient and been through a lot, seen a lot, many, many decades of service for many of you. And we just will have to keep at it because the what's at stake is too great. Too many people out there without voices need us. So I just thank you for continuing the great work of the Democratic Party. And I think we do have a little bit of work to do, looking internally at ourselves to say, how do we make this party even stronger, even bigger, broaden that tent. Sometimes as hard as it is for that family to get along within that tent, we just got to keep making it bigger and wider and more welcoming. So I know that's what we're all about. And I thank you from the bottom of our heart, from both of us, for our family. You were everywhere we went. The party was there for us. So we thank you.
Thank you, everybody. We love you, and we'll see you on the trail.
Okie dokie. Thank you guys so much.
Bye-bye. There you go.
Okay, now we will move into the official program, and I'll call on our secretary, Zeke Sarver, to call the roll. I think we have a pretty good group this morning.
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair. Is my mic working? I just want to double check. Perfect. Well, I can already report, I've been scanning the participant list. We do have a quorum today. We're also joined by a little Democrat.
Move him up a little bit. I can't see him.
Oh,
over
I
here.
should show you his onesie. It's reversed, but it says future Speaker of the House. He has started babbling some words, so we're on track there. But without further ado, we'll start with the first and CD chairs, like we've been doing the past few times. All I'm looking for is any new names of State Central members since the last meeting that were not at it. I know we had several from the 6th who were at it last time around. I know we've got a couple new names this time around. So that's what we're looking for. And as always, feel free to brag a little on your CD if you so desire. But we'll start with the first, Matt Rowe.
Hey, everybody. Matt Rowe from the First CD. Home to tons of great Democrats who, while this last election was really tough, we're just looking forward to the next one, ready to buckle down and get it done and get Democrats elected, because that's all we care about and that's what we're going to do. First CD doesn't have any new members since the last quarter.
Thank you, Matt. We'll go to the second, Sandra Brandt.
Good morning, Virginia Democrats. It's a pleasure to be here this morning, the second, which is the home of the most hardworking and smart Congresswoman Elaine Loria. Wishes each and every one of you a happy holiday full of fun and fellowship. And we have no new members, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you. The 3rd District, Delegate Clint Jenkins.
Good morning, everyone. The third CD, which is always persistent, thriving, and striving. The home of the great Congressman Bobby Scott has no new members.
Excellent. The 4th CD, Delegate LaSharice Aird.
Hi, good morning, Virginia Democrats, home of our amazing Senator Tim Kaine, our fantastic Congressman Donald McEachin. The Fighting 4th Congressional has no new members.
Thank you. The 5th CD, Suzanne Long.
Hi there. From the fabulous 5th, we have no new members, but we have a lot of Democrats who are working hard on reorganization. So we're strong and powerful out here.
Thank you. From the 6th CD, Kim Crump.
Good morning, Democrats. From the 6th CD, we have no new members this month, and we are resilient and ready to carry on.
Excellent. From the 7th CD, Abby Easter.
The 7th CD, home of the once and future fantastic Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger. We continue to work hard and we are confident of victories in our future. And we have one resignation, Harold Boyd from Culpeper, who we're really going to miss, but we're super excited. We have Dave Ruther from Culpeper joining us.
All right. From the 8th CD, Margot Horner. Margot, are you with us? We might circle back to the 8th then.
Okay, I can go. You ready?
Oh, yep.
Okay, welcome, Virginia Democrats. I'm Margot Horner, chair of the 8th Congressional District. We have no new members at this stage. We don't want to lose any. We only want to add them, you know. The 8th District is home to our senior U.S. Senator, Mark Warner, and also our Congressman, Don Beyer. I would like to say we also have Democrats in leadership positions in the Virginia Senate and House, including Dick Saslaw, John L. Herring, and Rip Sullivan, and many other great Democratic office holders. Also, we're so very proud of the many veterans and military families that live in our district. A special shout out to outstanding party service by 8th District party chairs, Alexandria's Clarence Tong, Arlington's Joe Cayazzo, and Falls Church City's Peg Willingham, who will not be seeking re-election as chair of their respective committees, but have done outstanding service. Fairfax's Brian Graham will be seeking re-election as party chair. I want to acknowledge the hard work of local grassroots workers and young Democrats, including We're fortunate to have as president of Young Democrats Morning Coffee and all of those grassroots workers on our Democratic committees in the 8th District in the recent November 2nd election, as well as our own Jason Rylander and the voter protection team of volunteers in the 8th CD. Longtime Alexandria friend and voter protection director, Jessica Colleen, and former 8th CD and now DNC at-large member, Frank Leone, worked hard to ensure that every vote was counted. I want to extend a huge thank you, absolutely huge, to the entire DPVA team under the leadership of Chairwoman Susan Swecker. Participating in this virtual Q4 Central Committee meeting today in this challenging time of uncertainty is a way that we can demonstrate that we're ready to go forward. I wish you a joyous holiday season and peace and happiness in the new year. Stay well, Democratic family.
And did you have any new members, Margot?
No, I did not have any new ones.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
And you might have heard some background noise. He perked up when you said we don't lose members, we add members. And he also perked up when you started talking about the YDs. I had to mute for a brief second, but we'll pivot to the 9th District, Gary Hancock.
Well, good morning from the Fighting Ninth, the home of 29 counties and cities. We appreciate everybody at DPVA, Susan, Andrew, Sham, Jack, and everyone else. We wish you a happy holiday, good morning, and no new members. Thank you.
Thank you. From the 10th CD, Zach Burkowski.
I got in.
Zach, are you with us from the 10th?
You hear me now? Sorry about that.
There we go.
Yeah, here in the tremendous 10th, we're really proud that because of the hard work of all of our activists and volunteers, you know, from the guy handing out the sample ballots to all of our amazing local party chairs, we managed to hold all of our incumbent House of Delegates races, and we are really proud of that. We want to say thank you to everybody for their hard work. And yeah, thanks. And no new members.
Perfect. And we'll close with Bob Haley from the 11th.
Good morning, VA Democrats. The 11th Congressional District, the home of Congressman Jerry Conley and the home of Speaker Eileen Philicorn, is proud to announce a dominant showing this morning of hardworking 11th CD members who in the recent election produced 67% Democrats. We have no new members, and I want to wish all of DPVA and all the DPVA staff happy holidays.
Thank you. And at this time, I believe we need a motion to add David Ruther to the roles as a Central Committee member. Is there someone who will move that?
So moved.
So moved.
I will. Second.
All right. I think I heard Abby. And who was that second?
EJ.
EJ, perfect. So Abby moved, EJ seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, welcome aboard, David. And I think that concludes the roll call. Madam Chair, if I may have one point of personal privilege. I know this is our last meeting with this central committee as currently comprised before reorganization elections. And I just want to say it's been a pleasure to work alongside all of you during your terms. And certainly I know we'll see some new faces here, but come March, but very grateful to have worked with those of you who may not be returning with us, and hopefully looking forward to working with the many of you who will. And because as I think the governor said it best, the fight goes forward and lots of work to do in 2022. So with that, I'll yield back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Isaac. And I echo those words of thanks to this committee as we move forward. And thank you for that report. I mean, that nice roll call, and welcome, David. Next up is the adoption of the agenda and minutes, which were sent to you previously. And is there a motion to adopt? Moved by
Second.
Bob Haley, seconded by Sandra Brandt. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All righty, those have been adopted. And next up, I will call on Barbara Clear, our fantastic treasurer, to give us a treasurer's report.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. It's good to see everyone, and happy holidays. The Budget Committee continued its monthly meetings and even had a special meeting to meet with staff to begin the review budget process for 2022 and to provide input to the staff. Elise Bess, our COO, continues to be a superb fiscal manager of DPVA expenses and revenue, and is always filing the state and federal reports on time. We have not had one inquiry about our report.
Barbara, I think we lost you. Did you drop off?
She dropped off the call entirely. I think she may have internet issues.
And it's such a great report. We'll just pass over that for now and come back to it if that's okay with everyone. And if we lose her entirely, we will, if Elise isn't, we'll get her to give it. I think you'll be very pleased with the report that we do have. And so next up, I'm kind of moving around here because I did something stupid last night. And after we left steering, I had a concert to go to, and I parked somewhere I shouldn't, and my car got towed, and I've spent all morning looking for it, which my laptop was in. Y'all, more than y'all ever need to know about me, but my all my remarks were in it. So, so we're going to kind of wing it here a little bit today with the chair's report. And I have to, if you want to pull that up. Oh, is it executive directors first? Oh, good. I got a little time then. Okay, Andrew, we will. I don't want to preempt your time.
I will be very quick. Good morning. I hope you all are doing well. It's good to see you all virtually. We had our first hybrid steering committee meeting last night, and it was really good to see a few folks in person. Definitely miss that camaraderie, and I hope that, you know, given the uncertainty with COVID, hopefully we can get through this and we can see everybody in person soon. I just want to really touch on a couple of really quick things. You all may have heard that over the course of the last few days, DPVA staff, myself included, and Susan have been going around the Commonwealth talking to folks in every nook and cranny of the Commonwealth about the election. And ways that a point of reflection, but then also of looking forward. We've done about 9 of these stops, and we are looking forward to do a lot more. I know Monday we're heading down to Sandra and Galen's neck of the woods, and so we're looking forward to seeing a bunch of Democrats on Monday. Tuesday, I think we're going to be in Southside and in and around Richmond, and then later this week we'll be up in the Northern Neck. And heading north on 95 and ending up in Stafford. So we hope to see everybody out there. If you all would like to have one of these kind of conversations, we're happy to add additional ones. You know, we have a kind of a tight window of our schedule, so we didn't mean to leave anybody out. So if you're interested in seeing the schedule, or if you want to have a virtual one, please just email political@vademocrats.org, and we can get one of those scheduled for you. A couple other things. One, we have a something that's coming up. A shout out to Jara Butler, and she's been working with Galen on this a lot. On January 22nd. We are going to be having a new committee orientation for chairs and people of the committee to come and kind of learn about DPVA and, you know, what we, our organization and all the many partner organizations that butt up to it. And so, you know, we're going to send out a save the date on that fairly soon. So please be on the lookout, and CD chairs would love to make sure as we get new committees that you are helping us get some folks to attend. I imagine it will be not either a hybrid or a virtual, just depending on what happens with this variant. We were hoping to be able to do it in person, and there might be some element to in person, but I think we're gonna make people allow people to come in virtually as well. And then the last thing that I'll say is, we've got a lot of work to do. We've already started working with Abigail and Elaine's team, our amazing congresswomen, the chairs in all these places, and so we're looking forward to continuing the work. There's a lot of uncertainty about next year and even the elections that we'll have, and so I think we might even get a good chance to take back the House next year. So we're ready to work. We're excited to do it, and we appreciate every single one of you on this call for all that you do in your communities and in for the party. So Susan, now I will turn it back to you for your long-awaited chair's report.
Well, thanks everybody, and for those of you, yes, I did locate my car. I just wanted to. I think some people said, "Did you find your car?" But that was just me parking somewhere where I shouldn't. So I did find my car. But first and foremost, and I did put some. I really never thought I'd have to write these kinds of remarks again, and I'm pained that I do. And we've been here before, and even though I guess I want to say this feels different when I've thought about it, in 2016 when we lost the presidential, I think we took some solace in the fact that we carried Virginia, right? So that we're like, okay, we did, we carried Virginia and we could hold on to that. So this one is, a little bit different and a little harder, or a lot harder, quite frankly. But today I do want to first and foremost thank all of you all for your blood, sweat, and tears, your hard work, your dedication to the party and the Commonwealth of Virginia, for making lives better for everyday Virginians. You put your hearts and your souls into this campaign in Virginia every single day. And look, your work, our work together has made our party and our Commonwealth better, and has made the lives of everyday Virginians better. I'm pretty confident I know how you've been feeling these past couple weeks. I've felt it too. And, I got good days and I got bad days. But lately, with a little bit of time and going out and talking to people and meeting folks on the ground where they are, the good outnumbers the bad. Because I do remember all that we have done for Virginians and how far that we have come together as a party. And thanks to our trifecta, the Commonwealth of Virginia is better, stronger, and more prosperous than it was 8 years ago. And look, I don't need to go through these stats with you, but you all know, more people than we ever thought have signed up and have health care through Medicaid expansion, over 550,000. And I don't know. I don't know the answer. That's why we're out there trying to learn how people understand how that has changed their lives. And it's because of Democrats. The title number one state for business was earned twice under Democratic leadership, as jobs were created and families across Virginia were lifted up. World-class education system was approved in advance, and voting rights. Look how much we did for voting rights. And who would have ever thought that a 55% turnout wouldn't actually be good for us? But how do we, we can't complain about that. And I certainly hope, and I hope you all will stand with me as we hold Glenn Youngkin and the Republicans with their feet to the fire and say, look, we made voting easy, accessible, and your folks turned out too. Didn't work out so bad for you all, right? So let people vote, make it easy for them. The list goes on. So that's something that I hope we all together should be very proud of, and be very, very bold and stand up and be very bold in speaking about it. So we've transformed lives and made differences in the lives of average people. And we should be damn proud of that record and shout it from the rooftops when we can. So this past month has been pretty hard, but as I said earlier, when I was talking about the staff too, you know, we're a pretty resilient bunch, all of us. And Lord knows, even in the years when we've won, they've been tough. There hasn't been an easy year for us as Democrats. So we don't curl up in a fetal position. We do kind of take a few moments to think, and Gayleen has her Malbec and I have my bourbon, and then we regroup. And once again, I want to thank Andrew and the team for coming up with initiating this post-election debrief tour with, we started out saying 21 stops in 21, but happy to do more either in person or virtually to meet people on the ground. And I got to tell you, it was of the 3 days that we've already done, 2 of the 3 I was able to do. It was incredibly helpful. Some of the stuff we knew, learned some stuff, came up with some ideas. But I mean, just the people came from all over, and they in Southwest and Southside Virginia, and you know, that despite, you know, being called baby killers and murderers at the polls, you know, still are out there working hard, and they need help. And we are going to work really hard to get them some help and cover and that they need, so that they can, with total self-awareness that they know they're not going to win out there. It's going to be tough, but we can move the needle and we can move margins and start making progress and give them some cover to be able to stand up and be proud to be a Democrat. Because there's a lot of Democrats out in these areas that are very, very red, and we owe it to them to help them make it easier for them to stand up for the party and for our candidates. So we've been to the Dip Dog stand in Smith County. If you've never been there, it's quite an experience, and I highly recommend it. All the way up to Culpeper and some other places. Got some stuff lined up for this week. And as I said, we're happy to put some additional stops in. If you would email Jack Foley, y'all remember Jack Penske Truck Jack, and request some additional stops. These conversations haven't been easy, but they've been open, honest, and tough. But the most important thing about them, they've been productive. And so they've meant a lot to us, and I hope they've meant a lot to the folks that we have met with. And we're gonna keep having them, and we're gonna keep coming back. They've also been invigorating and inspiring. So that gives me hope for 2022. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be easy. We got a couple of, I think, really, really challenging years ahead. And we may very well, as you all know, we're looking at having elections for the House of Delegates next year. And that could actually very well be a good thing, you know, an opportunity to take back the House. So, you know, begin protecting the progress we've made and hold Republicans accountable. But I think some of you have heard me say this before. My grandma used to say, there's no rest for the weary. So I hope over the holidays, we'll all rest up and get ready to go again, because we do have a lot of work to do. But I'm confident that we'll get through these trying times and come out on the other side stronger than ever before. The fight for Virginia's future has begun. And I can assure you that right here at the Democratic Party of Virginia, that the staff and I are going to be right there with you, helping lead the way to keep our Commonwealth moving forward. So with that, I just want to say, again, we're proud of what we built, and we're going to be that brick wall against the Republican attempts to drag Virginia backwards. We're going to fight like hell, because I have hope, and I'm looking ahead to the Virginia that we can be, with all of us invested together in protecting our progress, and all of us committing to ensuring that progress continues. So thank you so much. for what you've done, and thank you for what you will do in the future. Happy holidays to everybody.
Go back to Barbara.
And with that, I believe our thank you all, wonderful treasurer is back on. Barbara Clear, are you back on with us?
I think I am. Can you hear me? Because I'm on my cell phone. Yes, our Wi-Fi totally went out in our condo building. So just to finish up quickly, despite our reversals on November 2nd, I have full faith in the DPVA staff to keep us afloat as we weather this storm. They have done an amazing job during the 2 years of the pandemic, and I know they will be able to adroitly pivot when needed. So my report of our financials for the fourth quarter to date, revenue was budgeted at $658,000. We raised $530,000 for a difference of $128,000. Expenditures were budgeted at $687,000. We spent $548,000, and that is a difference of $138,000. And if Elise gets back on, I think she had texted me, she was having connectivity problems also. She will explain the cash on hand because I did not explain it properly last night. But I wish everyone a warm season of family, friends, fun, and faith. And Madam Chair, I will file this report with our secretary.
Thank you, Barbara. And we can let Elise address your the cash on hand when she does the budget presentation. No, we don't need that. So thanks so much. Okay, we are up for officer reports, and is Gayleen our first vice chair? Gayleen, are you with us? I know you had something earlier, so maybe if she's not here.
She isn't on yet. She may be on a little later.
Yeah. So, all right, Mark, do you have anything, or do we just going to wait till you do the party plan amendment, or do you have something other than that?
No, we'll wait for the party plan amendment.
Okie dokie. And next, Ricardo, comms and technology.
Wow, that was like perfect timing because I just parked after having my kid vaccinated. So sorry that I can't turn my camera on. I'm still very much in the car, but I parked so I can give the report. And you may hear him in the back. So first of all, I want to thank everyone that we had a safe election cycle in the sense that we didn't have any major issues in the cybersecurity front. We were the only way that we continue moving forward is to make sure that our equipment is up to date and that we're implementing best practices to secure our data. And I really want to thank everyone for taking the time to read some of the security bulletins that went out throughout the cycle and for updating your equipment. One of those best practices includes using two-factor authentication and ideally a password manager. So I want to give a particular shout out to VAYD, who has in fact implemented two-factor authentication across all their VAYD.org email accounts. As local reorganizations begin to take place, so are the challenges of potentially conducting online elections. And David and I already have had one meeting with Ren about that. So we're happy to help and suggest solutions based on the specific circumstances, including the number of eligible voter procedures. So feel free to reach out to us at technology@vademocrats.org to schedule a call. Two final reminders. We are looking to revamp our technology working group. And I'm happy to announce that Lisa Baker, one of Arlington's technology and data vice chairs, will be helping in this effort. If you're not receiving our emails, please reach out to technology@vademocrats.org. Finally, as a reminder, the definitive source of our officers list is available at vademocrats.org. If you receive any suspicious email, always check the sender's email address against the official list at vademocrats.org. And if you receive an email that looks like a compromised account, please report it immediately to security@vademocrats.org. So that's my report. Happy holidays to everyone, and I'll defer back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for that very robust report, Ricardo, and everything you do. I know technology is something I really need a lot of help on, but thank you, as the staff here will attest to. So let's see. I know Tyler had a family commitment today, so I'm going to ask Carrie or Randy, one of you are to give the finance report.
Yeah, of course, I'm happy to. So like Barbara said, our total income so far in Q4 has been over $530,000. Since our last meeting, we've had a couple of fundraising events. Of course, the Blue Commonwealth Gala was on the date of our last meeting. And while we were disappointed to not be able to see everyone in person, it was actually a very successful event. I hope you were all able to tune in. And if not, we have a recording if anyone wants to watch it. And then in October, we had our annual Army Navy dinner fundraiser. I want to give a big shout out to Bob Haley again this year for hosting us and having a great evening there. We've continued our direct mail solicitation program and are looking at continuing and expanding that next year as it's been very successful. And then we've been working with the operations and executive team to look forward to next year and build out our budget and finance plan. I'll turn it back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Carrie. Is Senator Lucas able to be with us today? I can't remember. She told me she had something.
I think her and Galen both had a funeral.
Yeah, they had. Okay. If they are able to get on after the funeral, we will come back to them. But for now, we will go on just for now to new business. And I will ask our Vice Chair of Rules, Mark Bortowski, to discuss the party plan amendment that we have before us.
All right, thank you, Susan. So we have one party plan amendment, and the amendment is essentially consistent with what we had previously done in the prior year, where we defaulted to a primary for our House of Delegates candidates. Now we are doing the same for the House of Representatives, and again, with the same caveats. If somebody doesn't file in time, there's still an opportunity for from folks to be nominated by another means, whether that be by convention or caucus. And of course, if there's a special election, then there are also, and a primary is not possible within that time, there's also the exception to allow for deciding nomination by convention or caucus. So it's pretty straightforward. It's just we're defaulting again to a primary. So is there any motion on this amendment?
So move.
All right. Is there a second? All right. I guess all those in favor say aye.
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 Discussion.
Okay. Sorry, they want. Sorry, discussion. Go ahead.
Yeah,
I messed up. I
remind
should.
everybody. Okay, this is Bob Zwick. I just want to remind everybody why we originally established the rule that we have now. There's a guy by the name of Lyndon LaRouche who constantly wanted to run either for president or for Congress out of Loudoun County. And he did not represent the values of the Democratic Party. And so we had to do this to prevent him. So I'm going to vote no on this, even though I know it's probably going to pass. But that I just want to get on the record the reason why we did this 25 years ago.
Okay.
That's thanks.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? All right. With that being said, again, is there a motion on the floor? Sorry.
Yeah, the motion and second's been made.
Okay, so all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
Okay.
The ayes
I would
have it.
say- They say the ayes have it. Thanks.
All righty, Mark, thank you. Did you have something else, or is this we turn it over to Sham at this point then?
Yep.
For the
We will turn it over to Sham.
thank you.
Hey everybody. So just kind of talking about the framework for Central Committee reorganization in 2022. I'm gonna share my screen quickly. All right, can y'all? All right, I know you can see it. So there's three main parts. There's a timeline. There's the delegate allocation, and then there's also the temporary rules for what this process will actually look like. Yesterday at the steering committee meeting, it was pointed out that we do need to have sort of a fallback option built into this framework if we don't get the congressional district lines in a timely manner. So if we were to get those after January 15th, there's no way that congressional district committees could issue their calls to convention because there wouldn't be a delegate allocation that we could use. So the general consensus yesterday among the steering committee was that we just need to have some mechanism in there to incorporate some sort of as soon as reasonably possible kind of language to allow for, if we get it on January 15th, that it's going to take a day or two for us to do the delegate allocations accurately. And so we did make those additions. If it's significantly past January 15th, we do have an amount of time within the party window, which is within the first 90 days of 2022 to complete this reorg. So that's something that we would be able to adjust here and there to make sure that still worked. With the rules, there's really two sections, or three. There's the parts that are pretty generic to all of it, and then there's if we're in person versus if we're virtual. I think we don't know where we're going to be in 2 weeks, let alone in 4 months. So hopefully we're in a position where we can all safely meet again. But there are procedures for both of those. And then to everybody's favorite topic of the day, there is a delegate allocation aspect to this for the congressional district conventions only. Before we get into the fight on delegate allocations, I just want to make sure everyone knows this is not like the delegate selection process. In the delegate selection process, the number of seats each congressional district gets is determined by this allocation. In this process, what it is, we're basically creating a proportion for congressional district committees to use to allocate their delegates during their CD conventions. Those CD conventions will all elect 20 members of the Central Committee, regardless of whether or not the CD committee has 2,000 delegates or 25. They will still all elect 20 members of the Central Committee. So when we get to that, I think that's worth everyone bearing in mind. But to a degree, that's basically it. I'm happy to answer any questions folks have. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can actually see things, though.
Hey, Sham.
Yeah.
Sham, can we just to try to keep confusion down, because this is one of those that we know what the fight, what discussion's going to be, right? But
Yeah.
could we first could I just get a motion to adopt this framework and the rules with the additions recommended, and then we'll go to the formula? Does that make sense to everybody? Can we just start with that?
I'll move that.
I'll second it.
All right, Abby has moved and Bob Haley is seconded. Is there any discussion on just adopting this framework and the rules? All right, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Oh, all eyes. Okay. All right. Okay. Now the fun begins. As long as I've been a member of the Central Committee or around, this has been a age-old fight. So what I want to start out with, we had this discussion in steering last night. It kind of a split vote, which on it, but which was just a recommendation. What I want to encourage as we move forward on this is that if somebody has an opinion, and let's just don't repeat the same thing or we'll be here all day. I'm just asking for a little, like, we all know what the arguments are going to be. There's nothing new here. I will just start with that. And I don't know if at this point I see George, do you have who? George and Gary. And who was first? Let's go George first. George has his hand up, so I'll go to George Becerra. And then Gary Hancock.
Hey, let me stop here. Sorry, folks, I might have some background noise. I'm at a state football game. Just a clarifying question. So what we just voted on, Andrew and Madam Chair, is we're planning for January 15th, but things might happen. But we should plan as CDs that the call will come out January 15th. That's my first quick question, hopefully.
That's correct.
And then is it time to chime in on the delegate allocation, or you want to do piecemeal one at a time? I can say all my opinions now, or has something been thrown as a motion? Sorry, I'm getting into this meeting kind of a little late.
You're good. You're good, George. You're correct on your first question. And what this does is that this is really it was a consensus that we kind of reached at the steering committee yesterday, that this was really the only way that we could, our only option to move forward. It provides contingencies in case the maps are delayed. So yes, sir. And I think we are starting to entertain questions, thoughts, concerns on the delegate allocation, if you want to address that as well.
Okay, then next I will go to Gary Hancock.
Susan, thank you very much. I've been on the Central Committee for well over 30 years. I don't speak very often, but I do have feelings about this issue, which we discuss, if not every year, every other year. But I wanted to start out by thanking those areas in Virginia that turn out the Democratic vote. Obviously, that's critically important, and we in rural Virginia appreciate so much what those areas of Virginia do. But one of the lessons from this year, I believe, is that we need to work on our message to rural Virginia. There was an excellent editorial in the New York Times this morning by Governor Steve Bullock from Montana. And one line that jumped out to me, and I encourage everybody to read this because it's about the rural Democratic vote. It said, Democrats need to show up, listen, and respect voters in rural America by finding common ground. And obviously, we also need to find common ground with urban areas. But one of the ways I think we create common ground. One of the ways I think we create common ground and level the playing field is consideration of population in our delegate selection formula, along with the Democratic vote. And while I understand this year this issue is more symbolic than substantive, as a matter of policy, principle, and procedure, I do think it's important. I would respectfully encourage support of Formula A or B, which includes population and Democratic vote, and not C or D, which only considers Democratic vote. I think this is the most inclusive way of dealing with such diverse populations of Democrats across Virginia. Susan, thank you.
I'm sorry.
Oh, and I believe Brian Graham was next.
Thank you. I just had a quick question. Do we have a motion on the floor that we're talking about? And then just from a clarifying question as well, do the delegate allocation, in my understanding, potentially could be decided differently by congressional district, or some congressional districts, I mean, it could set the delegate allocation large enough that it's not there's no limit and it doesn't really practically matter. But I guess my question is, are we talking about having DPVA decide for all the congressional district conventions their allocation or delegate allocation? And then secondly, how does this reflect the number of does this reflect the number of members that are on State Central, or is this the just for the conventions itself? Thank you.
So,
Okay, first of all, Brian, go ahead. I was going to say, Brian, we do not have a motion on the floor. Secondly, we got to punt to Sham to answer all these questions.
To answer, the Central Committee typically adopts the formula that congressional district committees use in their reorganizations. What we do when displaying it, because it's a lot easier for folks to generally like take in, is we do it we apply it to that 2,000 person number, but we'll also provide the proportions. So if a congressional district committee wants to wants to increase the number of delegates or decrease, they're entirely able to. That allows for more representation from whatever areas, and to make sure that anyone who wants to be a delegate ultimately could participate. Like that's definitely a thing that folks can do. And to answer your second question of whether or not it has any impact on the total number of votes you get on Central, the answer is no. Every one of the 11 congressional districts gets 20 base members. Those 20 members plus whatever additional party leaders you have will elect 4 additional members, 3 city county committee representatives and 1 general assembly member. You should all watch the webinar I did a couple weeks ago, and that I'm going to do on Monday.
Just to clarify, Andrew, Sean, sorry. Just to clarify, I meant of course everyone has 20 members, but the jurisdiction breakdown within Fairfax, how many, or in the 11th, this is an example, how many are in the city of Fairfax, how many in the city are, or how many are Fairfax County, how many of them are Prince William County?
Of
yes, sir.
We leave that up to the congressional district committees. I know what works in the 8th and the 11th is different from places like the 9th, which have over 24 localities, and then got CD5 with 23. So that's done on a congressional district by district basis for the best way to allocate the individual members. And I don't think that's something that the Central Committee, as a whole, should dictate to the individual CD committees.
Okay. Thank you. I call Sham, is not a lawyer, but I think he should be one almost. I call him that. Hey, George, I know you have your hand up, but are you okay if we go to someone that hasn't spoken yet?
Oh, definitely. Sorry about my technology skills. I couldn't answer the next one.
Okay, thank you. Mary Biggs, you're up next.
I just wanted to state my support for what Gary Hancock recommended. And if it's time to make a motion, I would entertain to make a motion to support option A.
I second.
Second.
Is that you? Did Matt?
Yes,
Matt Rowe. Okay, Mary Biggs has made the motion for option A. Matt Rowe has seconded that option. Is there discussion? George, are you still
yes,
trying to watch the game? And
no. I'm trying to chime in on now on the discussion for option A.
I understand multitasking in this, especially in important football games too. So go ahead.
You're muted, George.
Okay, I'll make this quick. So I'm in favor for option A. I am an 11 CD member. When I look at the numbers though, it favors 8, 10, and 11 if we go with option C, for example. But I'm trying to, if we haven't learned some of our lessons from this past election and the people who are watching publicly, I think we need to get more involvement as much as I've talked about minority representation as a Hispanic individual. I also need to think about geographic and where we need to grow and where we need to more boost. So that's for my favor for option A.
Thank you, George. Who was next? Was it Deanna Bayer? You're up next.
Yes, I favor option A. Yes, I live in Prince William County. I used to live in Fairfax County, but I was raised in southern West Virginia and southwestern Virginia. And And as another hat that I wear with the LGBTQ caucus as the vice chair for candidate endorsement, I spent so much of this year talking to candidates all over and feeling for those candidates who stand up in the rural areas knowing they don't have a chance and are doing it because they want the option, or as many told me, whether they were part of the LGBT community or not, that they wanted people out there to know that there was somebody for them. The people who were running and had no chance of winning, who were being verbally, physically attacked. And I think we must address this. I mean, Northern Virginia we work our, what's off, but we've got to be inclusive. And I definitely support A, because we have to start. We have to start. Thank you.
Thank you, Deanna. I believe Ellie.
Let me say this to Deanna. We were on all these calls and I didn't know that you're from Southwest Virginia. So there you go.
Born and raised in Southern West Virginia, but spent a lot of my vacation time.
Until he gets home, because Smitty, he like.
Okay, my drive. Okay, got it. Good, very good, very good. That works.
Alexander next. Yeah. Okay, Alexander Rodriguez next.
It's Alex Rodriguez, but not the baseball play.
It says Alexander on your.
I know it does, but everybody knows me as Alex, and I've been on the committee a long time. I think the way we're proceeding is not the best way. And if we're stuck with voting on option A, I think it's going to get us down the trail that we've been often before, of ending up with a conclusion that's really not the feeling of the entire body. And I would suggest that we ask people to vote here on all the options without any discussion and see where we come out, and then discuss option A. Because I think we moved to an important departure in the procedures of our party. And I served in the Massachusetts Democratic Party for 30 years before I came here. I'm emeritus there. I've been through these procedures, and they lead us to feel-good decisions. Let's give more votes to rural Virginia. We've done that before, and we've done that when we did it for the convention. We have to look at outcomes. Does it get us an outcome? And my sense is it doesn't get us an outcome. I'm not making a motion, but I would have suggested, if I were in steering committee last night, that that's the way we proceed. But if we want to go with a motion, then it forces me to vote against those things.
Great. Well, we do, Alex, we have a motion on the floor.
I do. And so I'm speaking against the motion.
Okay. That's fine. And for those who have asked, we have a poll process to be able to vote on this. So I just want to make that clear as well. Okay, the motion is, I know Zach, I just want to clarify. There is a motion on the floor. Zach Perkowski, you're up next.
Right. So I do want to speak to why, the advantages of option C, because the thing that so first of all, this doesn't impact rural Virginia versus suburban Virginia, or Nova versus Richmond, or Richmond versus Roanoke, or whatever. It's, across the state. It's entirely within a congressional district, how much voting power within, how many delegates within a congressional district each locality inside that congressional district has. And the reason why I usually would prefer option C is because we wind up having a, disproportionate number of our activists signing up in some of those larger bluer jurisdictions where, we're probably going to have, if we don't have enough delegates in those jurisdictions, we're probably going to wind up having to have caucuses, because we're going to have, even if we have, 60 seats, we're going to wind up having 80 folks who want to do it. And that's kind of how it's been in, the last couple of times with these. So that is, I think, kind of something to consider, is what the kind of activist to delegate ratio is. And I think the important thing is trying to keep that in alignment. Thanks.
Okay. And Brian Graham is next. I think you had not spoken to this motion.
Yeah, I
yet.
haven't spoken on the motion. I am supportive. I am supportive of the motion. I just want to clarify. Like I think Zach just did too. You know, we're talking about within a congressional district, not across the state. So we're just talking inside that. But the second part of that is, we're not talking about a process that's reflecting the vote. Like in a presidential, when we're talking about delegate allocation, we're talking about the democratic process and allocating the vote of the people to delegates. And when you put population to it, it gives a larger vote to people who didn't have a strong democratic vote. But in this situation, we're talking about, you know, who should have a say in the leadership of our congressional district committees. And I think that it makes more sense to have a population-based allocation for that, such an argument. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. I thought it was Roberta. Oh, he's got his hand?
Mr. Jesse.
Oh.
Yeah, cool. Mr. Jesse, you're
Mr.
good to
Jesse,
go.
are you?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, I see your hand now. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
First, I'm glad that you are going to be able to poll electronically, which I think is important. But I do like the idea that I know that's not the motion, but I'm leery about when the steering committee presents 4 options and then shows this is the one that we recommend. I think it's better to present the 4 options and take a vote. It's sort of like when we're having a primary, we stay silent on which candidate we support and let the population choose. And I think we should do that similar here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jesse. Roberta Thacker. You have to unmute her.
You're muted. Here we go.
Hi, Roberta.
Sorry, I'm in my car, probably breaking a law. Let me pull over. But anyway, I'm looking at this as a chair in the most southwest county in the Commonwealth where I live. Okay. And if we take away population and we lessen the vote of Southwest Virginians who are already feeling neglected because they don't get as much of a say in this because we live in a less populated area, how do we grow a party and elect Democrats when we can't get people involved because our own party doesn't give us the same playing field as other people? I really want to encourage you to vote A.
Thank you, Roberta. Okay, I do not see any other hands up. So with that, I believe we can move to the poll, and I'm not sure how that works. So Sean, would you be able to take it from here to do the details?
You're muted.
Yes.
All right.
Hold on just one second. I'm waiting for the poll to sync for the new question that was added, which is taking a second. All right. So it's not syncing well, but there is a question in there to adopt the reorganization framework. Is everyone fine with reading it as supporting the motion? Yes.
Sean, we voted on that, and that's already been
but
adopted.
the poll is not syncing over from the browser.
I just need clarification, Sean, because what we should be, the poll should consist of the motion that is on the floor only.
Yeah.
So if there's a way to vote to that motion, that's what we should be doing.
Hey, Sean, are you just having problems synchronizing the text of the motion?
Yeah.
Because if so, what I would suggest, Madam Chair, is to record what we're voting on and put it maybe on the chat. If the options are the same, really, it's just a mechanism to record the vote. I mean, I don't want technology to become kind of like a hassle here or a bottleneck for voting. I would just say, put on the chat what the questions should read and make clear that everyone understands what we're voting on. If the options are the same, really the mechanism is still the same.
What's your status? Are you still having a hard time?
It's not syncing over. I've tried changing the text of the question, adding new questions in. But
is it too much? Is it too much? I'm sorry, Sham, because I'm only able to speak right now. Is it too much to? I know we have a lot of people, but to do a roll call because we don't want to get it confused with.
It's way too much. But I think
I don't know. Why can't we just go through? I think just call the roll and just go through it real quick.
Because so I think the Ricardo solution is actually probably the easiest to do here.
All right, can we do that?
Yes.
Okay.
So for the poll that's going to come up, it's going to say reorganization framework. There's a yes, there's a no, there's an abstain. And the way we're just going to look at this is yes is to support the motion, which is to adopt Formula A. No is to oppose the motion, and abstain is to abstain. Which I will put that in the chat.
Have we determined that all the people on the call are members?
Yes.
Yeah, that's EJ. I mean.
And what about those of us who are just on the telephone?
Yeah.
Suzanne, we'll look and see how many people are on the telephone, and we'll see the what the poll looks like, and then we'll factor in those as well if that works for you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right. Questions in the chat. I'm gonna launch the poll.
What?
To be clear, Silene, to be really quick, just to be clear, the question that's in the poll question, because we can't get it to sync, is the adoption of the framework. What we're actually voting on. Yes is if you vote yes, you are voting yes for Formula A. If you vote no, you are not voting for Formula A. And if you are abstaining, if you put abstain, you are abstaining. So yes is voting for voting for the motion on the table, which is Formula A. And no is voting no.
Well, then we shouldn't have, even if you couldn't get it to sync, I can understand that. But we should not be voting on the framework when we have already voted on that.
She said no. She said
No, we're not voting
All
on
right, wait a minute, everybody. We have voted on the framework. This is a voting on the formula now. Gary made the motion to adopt. Mary made the motion, and it was seconded to adopt Formula A. And that is what this vote is on. If you want Formula A, vote yes. If you don't, vote no.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, the poll is open.
How do we vote on the poll in the chat?
It should show up on your screen.
Should show up on the screen? Okay.
What? Okay. This is interesting.
I love you, Sal.
I know. I love you, Darlene.
I meant to mute myself.
No, it wouldn't be nearly as much interesting if you did that.
Yeah, we are not voting in the chat. We are voting on the screen, the pop-up in the screen, everybody.
Yes, thank you, EJ, for that clarification. Yes.
I don't get it.
I don't have a pop-up.
I saw a thing that said your host is hosting a poll, but I didn't get a pop-up. Oh, here it is.
For those that are in a laptop, make sure that it's not underneath or under the Zoom call itself, because it's a pop-up. So sometimes the video, especially if you're full screen, it may show behind Zoom. So make sure that you're not full screen and that you're seeing the pop-up.
I know if you're on an iPhone, you're going to have to go to chat, and then those options, then it pops up. Anyway, over.
Thanks, Mark.
Is it supposed to be up yet?
Yeah.
We're going to give this a couple more seconds. We've got 87% participation so far.
I'm on an iPad and don't see it.
Who is it? Just asking.
Who would you just like to tell us how you want to vote? And we can put it in here.
Yes, it's Tom Kimbrell. I vote yes.
Thank you.
And Andrew and Susan, there's one additional yes, since Chuck and Monica are on the same account. They can only vote once in the poll. So that's two yeses with the one you just had.
And Lauren Whittington, who doesn't seem to have a pop-up on her iPad.
And I'm Diane Carter on my Samsung phone. I'm retarded, but I vote yes.
Okay.
And then Suzanne asked, I know that you're on a phone. Do you have?
I'm a yes. I'm a yes.
Okay. Thanks, Suzanne. Anybody else that's having difficulties?
It appears, excluding the staff members on the call, I think there's only about 7 people who have not participated.
Oh yeah, by the way, everyone who's a co-host or a host will not be able to vote. You can see the results, but you won't be able to vote.
This is Helen. Yes, and I don't see my name recorded on the chat.
It won't be recorded on the chat. It's only in this thing. People are going in there and doing that a little bit before. So if you voted, then you'll be good. All right. Anybody else?
This is Helen. I vote yes.
Okay.
This is Helen. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you, Helen. Thank you.
Okay.
Dean Shapiro votes yes.
All right. Any last? Okay. I think, Sean, let's go ahead and close the poll. Do you want to announce this?
Do we have?
Okay, go ahead.
96 yes, is that 27 no, and 12 abstain.
So the motion passes.
So the motion passes. Allocation A. Thank you all, everyone, for your patience with this. Next up is our budget presentation. And before I turn it over to Elise and Andrew, I want to thank our budget committee, Chris Little, Doris Kraus-Mays, Barbara Clear, and Tyler Bishop, so that for all their work these past years, but particularly this year on the budget committee. Even in a year where we didn't see the election results that we were looking for, with their help and oversight and dedication, I'm actually very happy to report that we're in a good financial position heading into 2022. And so now I'm going to just turn this over to Elise and Andrew for the presentation.
Awesome. And while Elise gets ready to share her screen, I do want to say we are going to have plenty of opportunities for people to ask questions at the end of this. So what I would ask is that as we're going through this, please keep any questions towards the very end of this, and we're happy to go through any questions, thoughts, concerns that you all have when Elise and I and Team Finance are done with the presentation. So Elise, do you want to, if you're able to share your screen, you want to pull it up? Sean, can you make, or Jack, can you make Elise a co-host, please?
Nick, I think you're gonna have to do that.
Yep.
All right. All right.
Thank you all so much for being here. I'm really excited to go through this presentation with you all and with Andrew. And as Susan so graciously mentioned, we have been working every month with our budget committee meeting just to stay on top of our 2021 finance plan, and that continues to pay off. And so we're heading into 2022 in a really strong spot. So just looking at 2021 in review, our estimated total revenue is a little over $3.1 million with estimated expenditures at 2.9. Going into 2022, we anticipate to have roughly $748,000 cash on hand. This is going to put us in a very strong place moving forward into the whole cycle and the whole year. So a little bit of context for these numbers. We are not estimating anything from the DNC's grant program. They have a state party innovation fund. In previous years, we have been very successful at making a case and utilizing those grant funds for either voter protection or organizing staff on the ground. I think they're doing a little bit of restructuring of that plan and haven't put out the timeline for those. So we're holding back on estimating those revenues. But our top lines here, with our revenue and expenditures, there is a small gap there, but noting the SPIF grant is missing and our strong cash on hand going into the new year, we feel confident that we're going to be able to close this gap throughout the year. Starting off with everybody's favorite thing, revenue. So one note on our van revenues here, we are estimating that we will raise $120,000 through the voter file. However, we are more than ready and willing to readjust if we get a final decision on redistricting and whether these House candidates will indeed be having elections. So this is the number based on the information we have now. Act Blue, that is our digital fundraising program. All those emails that you all receive and love. The DNC and other national programs, typically those are the direct-to-donor mail programs we have with the DNC and other large donor programs that they use to help sustain and support state parties across the country. I'm gonna let Carrie, if she's able, or Andrew, talk about these next few bullet points. Andrew, are you able to?
Yeah, I don't want to steal Carrie's thunder. So Carrie, if you're able to talk, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, I'm happy to. So the biggest one there is events. And so that number there, a large part of that is from the Blue Commonwealth Gala. Hopefully we will be able to do it in person next year. But either way, we had a very successful hybrid one this year. And so the events number covers that, as well as kind of a lot of the events that we do yearly, some regional events, our Army Navy dinner, all of those types of things. And so, similar to some of the other comments Elise made, depending on what elections we have and how things pan out, there's going to be some wiggle room, and we can add events or change them as needed, especially with the ongoing pandemic. But we feel really confident about that number right now. And then going into the large donor and call time. So both of those are kind of different ways that we communicate and reach out directly to existing and new donors to, reach out if we don't already have a relationship and otherwise maintain one. We have a lot of really great individuals and organizations that support us consistently. And so those are kind of the different ways that we are going to be maintaining those relationships. And then going into the director donor mailers, those are the mailers that we've been sending with the new partners program, and we're looking to continue that program next year and potentially expand it as well.
And then our dues program, we are restarting that going into 2022. We gave committees a year off in 2021, but are hopeful that we can resume those. And someone had a question last night. We will be doing the same offer as always, that if you are making those regular updates to your voter file, that you get leniency on the dues amounts. couple other items here. So unsolicited donors, we are not able to fully project when those come in the door, but we have a very good sense year to year of how much we can raise. And this is honestly a very conservative estimate of the money that sometimes falls from the sky because people are pointing their eyeballs to Virginia politics. The online store is pretty self-explanatory, and offset income are revenues we anticipate raising for expenses that we would have related to those revenues. And that gets us to our total revenue for 2022. Going into expenses. So some administrative expenses. Our office building in downtown Richmond, we renegotiated our lease this year. So we're actually seeing a little bit of a decrease in that overall cost this year, which is very exciting. Other administrative expenses related to having an office listed here, parking, our copier lease, internet, so that we can all keep functioning. We have 2 consultants to note here. So the Elias Law Group might be a new name for folks. Perkins Coie had all of their political lawyers exit the door earlier this year, and they formed the Elias Law Group. So we decided to stick with the experts and have now joined their squad. No change in that retainer fee there. And then Wild Bronco is a communications consultant. So data and tech. The voter file updates are listed there. Our compliance and digital software is NGP. We maintain that so that we can file all of our reports. The uptime is our server. So we have our own server so that we can keep the data integrity of the voter file and maintain it, all the things that Brenner and Katie do so successfully. And then switchboard texting was something we added this year to enable our digital team to do direct to donor text messages for fundraising. Some subscriptions here for the staff. Conference calls, I think we all know we have been heavily utilizing this Zoom account. And then Google for all the things that we do. We're big G Suite people here. So finance, I will say a little bit about this, and then Carrie, if you have anything to add, I'll throw it your way. So we are able to estimate some expenses related to having these in-person events. We are being very hopeful that we will be able to hold a fully in-person BCG. Going into 2022, we are rolling over some deposits because we were not able to have that large gathering in 2021. And then the direct to donor mail program, there are just administrative expenses related to owning that program. Carrie, did I miss anything?
I think you got it.
All right, some other expenses. So one of the administrative DNC national programs that I mentioned earlier is Dollars for Democrats. And through that program, we used to pay our ASDC dues from those revenues. They're restructuring that program. So now we pay the DNC directly for our ASDC dues. So that's a small addition here this year. And then we are also being very hopeful that we will be able to hold fully in-person central and steering committee meetings. If that ends up not being the case, as you know, we're always ready to pivot to Zoom. This is our large bucket here, all of our staff that we have. We didn't get to do the staff updates, but as you all know, being on the ground, we have a team that has worked tirelessly this whole calendar year, and especially in the final several months of the campaign cycle. So we have really grown our staff into a very professional and unionized team. So we're very happy to keep many of these folks on going into 2022 to set ourselves up for success. So one thing to note on the travel and engagement, we are anticipating more in-person travel in 2022. They're already hosting the Q4 DNC ASDC meeting. So that number has gone up a little bit, but just to account for that. And then the health insurance 401k salary, we are living our values here, giving our folks the access to things that we fight for every day. And our health insurance for our folks is offered at no cost. And we continue that going into 2022 so that we can be excellent Democrats. We will be transitioning next year into having a federal savings account. And we hope to be able to make $5,000 monthly deposits into that savings account. And that is the end of my presentation, Andrew. So I will stop sharing my screen.
Awesome. Thanks, Elise. And let me just say this while we're moving back to where we can see everybody. One, if you have questions, I think Maureen put it best. Just raise your hand, please, and we're happy to answer those questions. I will say that some of the like the particulars of 2022, obviously. We can't speak to all of them because we don't know exactly about the elections. We don't know if we're going to have House races next year, even though we're kind of considering that, or that's a real possibility. And so, as a result, a lot of this is just like any budget. Will kind of be ebbing and flowing as we react in real time to the situation that we find ourselves in. So just want to put that out there and just with that caveat. Margot, I know that you have had your hand up. So if you want to unmute yourself, I'm happy to answer your question.
Thank you so much for taking a question. Are we going to be continuing to fund a voter protection director's staff?
Yes, Margaret, we will have a voter protection team. That is one thing that we work really closely with. This year, we'll work with the DCCC and the individual congressional campaigns to make sure that we have an aggressive voter protection team on the ground.
Okay, I didn't know because I didn't necessarily see an entry, so I'm sorry, but I had to ask a question.
Yeah, of course.
Cheryl, I believe you were next.
Yeah, I have a question. First off, I just want to thank the team for the level of detail and clarity in the budget presentation. But as some of you know, I'm a bit of a finance geek. That's what I do for in real life. And so you talked about the deficit of about 200,000 being covered by the cash on hand. And just, I know that doesn't necessarily take into account any current liabilities or any other assets. And so I'm just curious to make sure that is a good representation of the current unrestricted net assets that DPVA has.
That's a great question. And one of the things, Cheryl, that's a little bit trickier with this as well is there is a Fed and non-Fed balance with this. Obviously, this year, particularly if we have House elections, we're going to have to be going back and forth between bank accounts, and so it doesn't always necessarily, like line up as easier as we would like to on a spreadsheet. But what I will say is that I am confident that as we get more clarity of what this year looks like, what the donor landscape looks like, frankly, we haven't, just to be frank, we haven't been in a position at a party where we have not had the governor's mansion. So how do donors react to that, and how? So that is a very just baseline. I'm pretty confident that we will be able to exceed that amount, and we will be net positive in terms of revenue to versus expected expenditures this year.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, George.
Hey, hi everyone. Thanks for the great presentation. It's not any comment. Maybe next time if the State Central Committee members can get the read aheads. I think Shime did a tremendous job in all the links he's done for the last several weeks. So that definitely was helpful. But in terms of the business one, that could have been a couple of days because like right now, I can't even see it. I have thousands of people behind me and I can't even chime in. All right, thanks.
Understood, George. And we actually, Zach Burkowski, we had a pretty good potential solution to this that we're going to be implementing moving forward to give people a little bit of a preview. So it's not all right here, but appreciate your comments and hope your team is winning, by the way. Dan.
Hey, sorry about that. Just a quick question about the health insurance.
maybe I'm sticking my nose in a bit too much. I was just curious what kind of plan we had and for staff, and if there was an opportunity to invest a little bit more here, because I know how much work and pressure we put on the DPVA staff throughout the year, and it seems like that's a key thing to retain talented folks.
Yeah, thanks,
what
Dan.
what our broker calls the Mercedes-Benz of healthcare plans.
Dan, we actually, when we were doing our CBA negotiations and for the last few years, one of the things that our unions, whether it's IBEW Local 666 or UFCW Local 400, have been really happy with us, and actually we gave more than what the initial CBA was asking was our healthcare plan. And so we're pretty good with this, and Elise does a really incredible job of making sure that that this is updated and that we're continuing to have the best kind of plan.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I just double checking that folks didn't have like super high deductibles or anything like that, like staff, and it's a great investment. Awesome. So appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
We just want to make sure it has a mental health plan.
Yes, ma'am.
That was a joke, but.
No, it's a very fun. I get you, AJ. I get you. All right. It doesn't appear there are any more hands. Would somebody like to make a motion to pass the budget?
I'll make a motion, Madam Chair, to adopt it.
Silene has made the motion. Sandra has seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Is there anyone opposed? All right. Thank you all so much for your participation in that. That actually completes, golly, our business for quarter four. I know some people are going to want to ask about quarter one, and I'm kind of waiting on the DNC, and I was told this week that our winter meeting will be in February or March, so that it wasn't particularly helpful. But I'll try to double down on that to get a date so that we can give you all a heads up for quarter one. And I also believe EJ, our wonderful chair for the Black Caucus, I believe you all are meeting after this meeting. Is that correct?
Yes, we are meeting at 2:00.
Okay, so and so that's at 2:00. So you will have a little bit of time to get lunch or whatever else you want to do. I thank you all, and
I got one more announcement real quick.
Okay, Andrew has got one last thing, I believe.
Yes, I know that Steve Baker sent me this, and maybe Steve, if you want to unmute yourself and talk about the event that I know that you, Stacy Snyder, Lindley Thornton, and a bunch of folks are doing about with rural outreach. I don't know if you want to make an announcement about that.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you so much. And this is a collaboration between the Together Virginia and Rural Ground Game. May have Lindley Thorne on the line as well. And the DPVA Rural Caucus. V was not able to be here today because she is meeting with one of Virginia's tribes, and apologizes for not being here. But this is going to be a terrific conversation about finding solutions for rural Virginia. Special guests will be Senator Tim Kaine, my great Congressman Don Beyer, and Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger. So it's going to be a terrific conversation. I dropped a link in the chat. There should be one going up on the DPVA calendar as well, and some information being circulated to not only our caucus chairs, but our CD chairs. All are welcome to join. It should be a terrific event and a good conversation about paths forward for Virginia.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks a lot, Steve. That sure does sound like a great event. Okay, and with that, I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday season.
Susan.
Yes, ma'am, Silene.
This is Celine, and I would like to have a point of personal privilege.
Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to first of all thank you for your incredible leadership. I know that this was not the results that we wanted to have in Virginia, but I wanted to thank you for your leadership, and also a thanks to Andrew and the staff of the DPVA. I wanted to make sure that, we've had a lot of people commenting on, and directing some things to the staff negative as well as our leadership. And I just wanted to speak to the clarity of it. In 2019, under Andrew's leadership, we were able to flip House districts. We know that. 2020 worked out really well for us. I will say that there were 3 different campaigns. For those of you that don't know, you had the coordinated campaign that is driven by the top of the ticket. You had Terry's campaign, and you had the House caucus. Unlike 2019 and 2020, when the state party had a seat at the table, we did not this time. And so I want to say that, we have to get back to work. And I'm sure there are some things that went wrong. But as far as your leadership, Susan, as well as Andrew and his staff, there's some things that we can do different as far as building an infrastructure. But, and I would venture to say that we need to make sure that we always have a seat at the table in the future. So I just wanted to make sure that, people on this call were aware, if they are not, that I've been around for a long time. I've been through many executive directors and staff of the DPVA, and certainly chairs of the DPVA. So I want to personally thank the chairwoman and Andrew and his staff.
Silene, thank you for those kind words and your friendship. It does mean a lot. And I have to tell you all, if anybody wants to know how to do Sunday vote in rural Virginia, you need to talk to Silene Montgomery, because she knows how to make it happen. And Andrew and I had a really good time going down to Brunswick and playing a small role in helping you turn out the vote. And I've learned a lot from you, Silene, and I know a lot of others have. And I appreciate your words. These are, again, it's this is a tough year on all of us, but thank you very much. And we will move forward. But appreciate each and every one of you. Again, hope you have a wonderful holiday season, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
It has been moved, seconded.
Second.
All in favor, say happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Happy holidays.